Shopping away at Walmart, I do want to show you the items that I'm picking up today to stay in my budget. First, I'm down the seasoning aisle and I do want to pick up a packet of country gravy mix. I know most of the time we automatically think the store name brand items are way cheaper than like the regular name brand items, but in this case, this Pioneer brand of country gravy is significantly cheaper than the store name brand, so I put that in my cart. Get excited if you were a cheese fan like me. Next, I'm grabbing this 8-ounce block of cheddar cheese, and for under $2 for a pound of ground turkey, you absolutely cannot go wrong with this festive brand. It is so cheap and meat is unbelievably expensive these days, so that festive brand is a great option for ground turkey. I have a fun idea planned with this regular box of macaroni and cheese. You just have to trust me. And then while I'm down the pasta aisle, I am picking up this box of elbow pasta. I've kind of been on like an elbow pasta kick recently, and if you are looking to save money at the grocery store, I absolutely suggest you buying these cans of pasta sauce over the jars. There's the same amount of sauce in the can and the jar. The taste is wonderful and it is way cheaper. So look for those Hunt's cans. You can't go wrong with them. Next, I'm putting one of these larger cans of chicken in my cart. If you look at the price per ounce, it is cheaper for the larger can, so I'm grabbing that and I'm still able to stay in budget with it. Next, a can of cannellini beans. I have a good recipe in mind for those. Then a 15-ounce can of tomato sauce, and this one really stumped me. I was about to pick up this can of cream of mushroom soup for 92 cents, but I am so glad that I looked further because I saw the 98% fat-free can was 24 cents cheaper, so that is a steal of a deal. It's significant savings. Get ready because I am over the top excited about these dehydrated hash browns. I have the most amazing recipe in mind for them. Also, don't knock those hash browns until you try them. I grew up on them and they are way cheaper than the frozen bags of hash browns that they sell at the store. They also last super long in your pantry, so I definitely recommend them, and that little container goes so far. Next, I'm picking up these Knorr bouillon cubes for right above $1. I don't need a ton of bouillon cubes this week, so that's why I grabbed those, but if you do want to stock up on bouillon cubes, I do recommend those brands. There's more bouillon cubes in them, so it's a better value, but a little bit more money up front. Next, I grabbed a frozen bag of mixed vegetables, then a frozen bag of peas and carrots. There's a ton of veggies in those bags. Now I'm going to be picking up a bag of potatoes O'Brien. They're like hash browns with peppers and onions in the bag. And then I'm going to be grabbing a bulb of garlic. Garlic is like a powerhouse of nutrients. It's super affordable, so I am definitely going to be picking up that garlic today. I'm excited about it. I wanted to pick up a white onion today, but I could not believe the price of that white onion, so I looked over at the brown onions. They were way cheaper, so I grabbed one of those. Let's check out and let's head home and get to cooking this week. To start us off today, we are making this pasta dinner, and it is so unbelievably delicious, but so affordable at the same time. To this pot of boiling water, add in half of our box of elbow pasta. Cook that pasta according to the package instructions. Once your pasta is to the tenderness that you like it to be, go ahead and strain that pasta. Now to the same pot that the pasta was cooked in, add in a tablespoon of olive oil. Once the oil's hot, add in a tablespoon of minced garlic. Stir that garlic around until it is fragrant. Make sure it doesn't burn. Garlic does burn easily, and then it kind of makes your meal taste bitter. But after a few seconds, just add in our can of pasta sauce. I am using some basic seasonings that I have on hand this week for our recipes. So I'm adding in a teaspoon of salt, half a teaspoon of pepper, 1 teaspoon of Italian seasoning, and a teaspoon of onion powder. Next, add in the drained and rinsed can of cannellini beans, and then add in 1 cup of frozen peas and carrots. Give it a really good stir and let this simmer covered, stirring it occasionally for about 5 to 10 minutes. After the simmering time is up, go ahead and add in the cooked elbow pasta that we cooked up earlier. Give it a stir, and then you could serve this easy dinner up. Those beans from the cannellini beans give this meal so much added protein. Those beans are like a great meat substitute. This is ultra flavorful. We sprinkled ours with a little bit of Parmesan cheese that I had on hand. You definitely need to try this one out. My little ones absolutely devoured it. It's so good. Now we are getting started on this rich and creamy potato soup. So to a large Dutch oven or large pot on the stove, add in our 28-ounce bag of frozen potatoes O'Brien. Next, add in 2 bouillon cubes. Those bouillon cubes will add a lot of great flavor. After that, go ahead and add in 4 cups of water. After you toss that water in there, go ahead and add in the packet of country gravy mix. You just have to trust me on this one. Give it a really good stir. Let this simmer covered, stirring it occasionally for about 15 minutes. After the 15 minutes is up, you could serve this beautiful soup up. I promise you, this potato soup is absolutely delicious. It is rich, it is creamy, it only has about 3 ingredients in it, and it is so ultra affordable. You could top your potato soup with anything that you have on hand. I topped ours before with like bacon bits, but today I just topped it with a little bit of sour cream and cheese with some black pepper. It is so good. Now we are making this not so basic chicken noodle soup. This one is also a dump recipe, so to a large pot on the stove, add in 2 tablespoons of minced garlic. Next, add in our 12-ounce can of chicken. Make sure you do drain that can. Then add in the other half a box of elbow pasta, followed by 12 ounces of frozen mixed vegetables. Next, add in 2 bouillon cubes. This is kind of like in place of chicken broth. After you add those bouillon cubes in there, add in 10 cups of water. If you don't want to add the bouillon cubes in and you want to use like chicken broth instead of the water, you could do that too. For the seasonings, I added in a teaspoon of salt, teaspoon of pepper, 2 teaspoons of Italian seasoning, 2 teaspoons of paprika, then just a dash of thyme. Give this a really good stir and let this simmer covered for about 15 minutes or until the elbows are tender. Once your elbows are tender, you could serve this beautiful soup up. Just look at how wonderful it looks. Also, this soup makes for a lot of soup, so if you don't eat it all that night, you could of course always store it in your fridge for leftovers, or you could freeze it for a freezer meal in the future. That works wonderfully too. It is ultra delicious. Now we are making this sloppy Joe mac and cheese. So to a pot of boiling water, add in the box of macaroni and cheese. I accidentally added in the cheese packet, but just save that to the side. We're going to be using it later. Cook the macaroni according to the package instructions, and while it's cooking away over to this pan on my stove, I'm adding in half of our 1 pound of ground turkey. I'm using the other half a pound of turkey just for another recipe. Break that ground turkey up and cook it through. Now that my macaroni is tender, I am going to strain it. After I strain it, I'm adding it back into the pot, and I'm going to add in the cheese packet that the macaroni came with. I'm not adding in any milk or butter or anything like that, just the cheese packet. Give it a good stir. Now back over to the ground turkey. Now that it's cooked through, add in a tablespoon of minced garlic, and remember, minced garlic really burns easily, so just stir it for a few seconds. Now add in the seasoning, so a teaspoon of onion powder, a teaspoon of salt, a teaspoon of garlic powder, a half a teaspoon of pepper, then add in 1 tablespoon of brown sugar. That might seem odd, but this is so flavorful and so good. After you add that brown sugar in there, add in a teaspoon of yellow mustard, followed by 1/4 cup of ketchup. Next, add in the cooked macaroni and cheese. After you toss that right in there, add in 8 ounces of tomato sauce. Give this a really good stir. You're going to let this simmer for about 5 minutes, stirring it occasionally. After that cooking time is up, you could serve this up. This is such a fun twist on a basic sloppy Joe. It is so unbelievably delicious. It really does taste similar to a sloppy Joe. My husband had 3 different bowls of this. It was that good. Now we're making this cheeseburger hash brown casserole. So to get this one started out, I have my carton of dehydrated hash browns right here. We're going to rehydrate them right now. So if you just read the instructions on the side, it says to open up the carton halfway, just like this. And here is what they look like. Pretty simple, pretty basic. Now add some hot water to the fill line. After you add that hot water in there, you are just going to seal it back up. So close it and let it sit for about 15 minutes. While this is sitting and rehydrating over to this pot on my stove, I'm adding in an onion and then add in a half a pound of ground turkey. Break that ground turkey up and cook it through right now. Now that my ground turkey's cooked through, add in a tablespoon of minced garlic, give it a little stir. After that garlic's fragrant, add in a teaspoon of salt, a half a teaspoon of pepper, 1 teaspoon of onion powder, 1 teaspoon of paprika, and then after you add that in there, go ahead and add in the rehydrated hash browns. Open the carton fully just like this and kind of shake them in there. As you see now, they look like regular hash browns. They are like filled in there like crazy. There are so many hash browns in that little tiny carton. You will be surprised, I promise. Next, you're going to add in the can of cream of mushroom soup. After you add that in there, go ahead and add in a half a cup of milk. Give this a really good stir, and then this is optional, but you can add in 1 cup of frozen peas and carrots. I'm just adding them in right now. Give this a stir and let this simmer for about 15 minutes, stirring it occasionally. Once the cooking time is up, I shredded up 4 ounces of our cheese, so not the full 8-ounce block. I added the cheese right in there, and now I'm going to stir the cheese in. Once the cheese is melty, you could serve this dinner up. One thing that you are going to be super impressed with is the hash browns do not get mushy. They won't get mushy. They are just super delicious. They hold their shape. This absolutely does taste